Welcome back to Wrestling World. We have some big updates on Becky Lynch, so I wanted to touch on that report and cover some other stories surrounding other wrestling news topics as well. So everyone knows that Becky Lynch stepped away from WWE during the spring with the amazing announcement that she was expecting her first child with Seth Rollins. Becky Lynch has been off of television for several months now, and we didn't hear that much from her nowadays. Seth Rollins gave a few updates on how she was doing in a few interviews, and Becky Lynch had an interview with the Bella Twins over the summer, but that was about it. Becky Lynch had also revealed that she was in the early stages of writing her own book. Well, we finally got a huge update on Becky Lynch's whereabouts, especially this past Friday night. Becky Lynch was reportedly at the Thunderdome for this week's Smackdown premiere. Obviously, this doesn't mean that Becky Lynch is being brought back to TV. Becky Lynch is just around 7 months pregnant right now. Becky Lynch has revealed that her due date is in December, so she's almost there, but still some time left to go. Of course, Seth Rollins had just made the big switch over to SmackDown, so that also explains why Becky Lynch was at SmackDown. It wasn't for any on-screen appearance or anything like that. We obviously didn't see her as a part of the show, but she was likely catching up with a majority of the superstars that she hasn't seen since May. Especially with her pregnancy announcement coming in the middle of the lockdown, she probably hasn't seen a lot of the superstars in such a long time. What makes Becky's presence backstage just a bit dangerous and scary is that the outbreak that WWE was just dealing with a few weeks ago. Remember back in June, WWE had suffered their first outbreak in the Performance Center that affected a lot of the talent and backstage personnel. Around that same time, everyone was suggesting for Seth Rollins to go home for the safety of his household and to protect Becky Lynch from the Performance Center outbreak. You know, similar to what Roman Reigns did when he walked away from WWE to protect his pregnant wife. However, reports at the same time said that Rollins didn't want to leave WWE high and dry during the peak of the Rey Mysterio storyline, so he wanted to stay and pull through that story. WWE had bounced back from that outbreak and things seemed more under control. A huge outbreak once again hit the Performance Center. Of course, Raw and SmackDown were safe because they're all the way at the Amway Center, but NXT was hit the hardest from the outbreak. We saw that the outbreak also leaked over to Raw and SmackDown just a bit, and WWE had to quarantine superstars like Retribution, Nia Jax, Nikki Cross, and more, just to be safe. So considering all that just happened backstage during the last few weeks with this outbreak, you do have to wonder how safe it is for a pregnant Becky Lynch to enter the building. But at least it was the Thunderdome and not the Performance Center, because I would be even more worried if she went there. So it was a really risky move, but on the plus side, WWE is actually doing a better job of handling everything with the outbreak compared to how things were earlier this summer. Seth and Becky both kept talking about she was so bored at home, so at least she did get to come out and visit everyone this week. We are still months away from Becky's return, but it's never too early to discuss WWE's potential plans for her. One thing the reports have mentioned over the last few weeks is that WWE tried to keep all the real-life couples on the same brand during the WWE draft this year, and we did see them do that for the most part. Montez Ford and Bianca Belair are together on SmackDown. Zelina Vega and Aleister Black are together on SmackDown, and many more couples are all together on the same brand. With Seth Rollins being on SmackDown, I guess you have to assume that Becky Lynch will be on SmackDown as well. Becky Lynch went undrafted in this year's draft only because she's an inactive talent. So that basically means she's a free agent. Now, Becky Lynch's landing spot is a bit interesting because she has a lot of unfinished business on Raw. She never lost the Raw Women's Championship. So, would she return to Raw to take that title away from whoever's the Raw Women's Champion at the time? Or will they shake things up and bring Becky Lynch to SmackDown, where she will be together with Seth Rollins? I think Becky Lynch has a case for both Raw and SmackDown, so it can really go either way. Maybe she goes back to finish what she started on Raw, or maybe she goes back home to SmackDown, where the man Becky Lynch was first born at. I think fans will be happy either way. Then maybe Becky Lynch can just target the SmackDown Women's Championship instead of the Raw title. Who knows? who will be the SmackDown Women's Champion by the time Becky Lynch returns. Maybe it'll be Sasha Banks, Bayley, or someone else. But no matter who is the champion, a matchup with Becky Lynch should be huge for that defending champion. So if I had to guess, I'll say Becky Lynch is going to SmackDown. It just makes sense to keep her together with Seth Rollins. You can't forget that there are some other big-time free agents still lurking around in the background. One of those huge free agents being Becky's biggest rival, Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey also has her own unfinished business with Becky Lynch. So what if Ronda Rousey follows Becky Lynch to whatever brand she decides to go to? I think that'll be a good possibility as well, and it will be a great story to see Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey reignite their feud on SmackDown. But at the same time, you have to remember that Raw needs some firepower as well. Giving SmackDown both Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch would be pretty devastating for Monday Night Raw. So it's also a possibility that maybe one of them goes to Raw and the other goes to SmackDown to really balance out all their star power. Becky Lynch is still part of WWE's merchandise line as well. WWE has even started releasing more and more merchandise with the nickname The Mom. So it was great for Becky Lynch to visit everyone backstage this week on SmackDown, and hopefully everything was safe over there. In other news, Raw Underground has reportedly been cancelled. Raw Underground was introduced several months ago as this new groundbreaking segment of Monday Night Raw. Even though it had a lot of potential at first, it really never went anywhere. Served no real purpose to the show and quickly became pointless filler. They experimented with a few different things, such as having longer matches, cutting away from the match, and then checking back in with that same match later on, but nothing really worked. The reason why Raw Underground was cancelled was because of that Performance Center outbreak we were talking about before. The Raw Underground crowd is 100% made out of Performance Center employees. And WWE didn't want those employees spreading anything to the Raw talent that was in the ring. It would be chaos and spread like wildfire in Raw Underground. So that's why WWE canceled it during that first week. Which was a great move by WWE. They most likely saved the main roster locker room from a potential outbreak as well. So I think the move to delay Raw Underground was great. However, it's been a few weeks now and Raw Underground is still missing, leading many to believe that WWE pulled the plug on the segment of Raw. I think this cancellation of Raw Underground could be a blessing in disguise though. If they do ever have plans to bring it back, they can use this time right now to go over everything, see where they went wrong, see what the fans loved, see what they hated, and bring Raw Underground back, better than ever. Or they could just decide that it's cancelled and they're gonna act like it never existed in the first place. Then I guess that'll work too. But what are your thoughts on today's wrestling news on Becky Lynch and Raw Underground's cancellation? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications turned on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.